Honestly, I could talk about Canterlot Wedding all day long.
Except for, the one major plot hole in A Canterlot Wedding.
And what is that?
Who the hell are Shining Armor and Cadence?
What do you mean?
Where did they come from? They came from nowhere.
Come on.
So, it comes to this.
So it seems, Astro. So it seems.
Welcome one and welcome all to the third hiatus episode of Quills and Rockets. And strap yourselves in, cause this one's gonna get rough.
As evidenced by our previous discussion, it turns out that there's a pretty significant episode from the past that still has some unresolved controversy. So for the third part of our nostalgic hiatus specials, we'll be taking an in-depth look at the Season 2 finale, A Canterlot Wedding.
A Canterlot Wedding stirred up a lot of discussion about what we know about the world of Equestria, and whether or not the writers... how do I put this lightly? Messed up big time.
Now, I'll be honest, I was surprised at how much discussion it stirred up. I discovered the show while Season 2 was finishing up, and wasn't really involved in the fandom at that point. So I didn't find anything in the episode all that surprising. In fact, as I mentioned last episode, it was a top contender for my favorite of all time. And I really wouldn't be able to find much to criticize on my own, so I guess I'm playing defense this round.
Well, I guess so, cause while I did enjoy this episode, there is still one thing that bugs me to no end. But before we get into that, let's jump right in. The episode starts out with the main six having a lovely little picnic, only to have Spike interrupt it with some urgent message.
Twilight learns that there will be a wedding in Canterlot, and is puzzled as to why she and the main six are being asked to take part, until Spike gives her the first message and reveals that it is, in fact, her brother who is getting married.
Wait. Back up a second there. Twilight has a brother? What? Okay, I guess I can let this slide. Even with the My Big Brother Best Friend Forever song, family doesn't seem to come up that much with the main six. I'm just wondering how the hell she didn't know he was getting married until a week before the wedding. Quill, you're getting married. Are you gonna let your family know you're getting married a week before the wedding?
Are you kidding? I'm confident several of them would personally beat me if I pulled a stunt like that. But this is Equestria. Time has no meaning there, remember? And this might be cheating a bit, but we've just seen how bad Twilight is at keeping touch with ponies in Canterlot. So it's not impossible to think that this is a result of her losing touch with her brother.
I guess? But she's not even been gone a year. What, that's how fast relationships move in Equestria? Then again, looking at fanfictions, yeah.
Not to mention, by this point the wedding isn't exactly being run according to plan. So that's another possible reason for the poorly handled invitations. After all, Twilight is understandably upset at this rapid change of events, and she goes with her friends to confront her brother about the issue.
Also, another possible explanation is that the original invitation was the letter that Garble threw away. But that's just a funny little headcanon. Anyway, Twilight races to Canterlot to confront her BBVFF, who happens to be the Captain of the Royal Guard. What?
What? What's wrong with that? His name's Shining Armor. I doubt he works as a farrier.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that. But, wow. Twilight's got some connections in high places. Personal student of the ruler of the world, brother is the captain of the Royal Guard. What next?
Funny how Larson decided to answer that question a season later.
Yeah. And who's this Miyamori Cadenza that her brother is marrying? Oh, her old foal-sitter. Huh. That's actually kinda cute if you think about it. That while she was foal-sitting Twilight, her and Shining Armor fell in love? Kinda sweet, actually. But who is she? I wanna meet her.
Well, after Shining Armor makes some amends with Twilight, we get an adorable little flashback that reveals Cadence's caring personality, special talent, and role as a princess.
Wait. What? 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 She's a fucking alicorn? What? Nope. You know what? No, I'm done. I'm done. See you later. Bye.
What? But, wait! What's wrong? Astro, come back! You can't leave me here alone! What if Wooten shows up?
No, I ain't having none of this shit. Why the hell is Cadence a fucking alicorn? Yes, I get the fact that we've learned that ponies can become alicorns, but I'm doing this from what we knew at this point in time. And at this point, there were only 2 alicorns, Celestia and Luna, the 2 sisters, the rulers of the world who embodied all 3 races. So, tell me why in the wide world of Equestria, we have the 3rd pretty pink princess walking into the room.
Wow. I think I understand why you and I seem to have disagreed about Cadence in the past. But, although I could cite the various speculations about toy lines and the theories about equestrian matriarchy in general, I'd simply like to ask, what actually is wrong with this picture? What established canon that we had explicitly given in the show does this violate?
What? You mean besides the fact that Twilight has a god for a babysitter before she got her cutie mark and became Celestia's pupil? You mean besides the fact that up until this point, there was no questioning Celestia and Luna's ruling authority as they were the only 2 alicorns? And you mean aside from the fact of where the hell has this pretty pink princess been this whole fucking time?
Well, Cadence is clearly pretty young in the flashback too. Are you saying that because she's an alicorn, she can't have a normal teenage life and has to act like a stiff, regal dignitary? That's typecasting, Astro. And we've had a lot of things appear in the show that hadn't been mentioned before. Not to mention, Prince Blueblood clearly established that there is some kind of royal family.
Yes, and was he an alicorn? No, he was a noble unicorn!
Related by blood somehow to Celestia. Care to explain how that's acceptable?
Simple. He's lying his pompous little ass off. Isn't that how a lot of nobility works? And why does that matter? We know that Cadence became an alicorn, so the whole blood thing is inconsequential. But seriously, where has she been this whole time? Why does she exist? Why at that point did it make sense to add another alicorn into the mix?
All I'm saying is that back then, in my perspective, it didn't seem odd to me that there could be other alicorn royalty given the previous mention of a royal family. And although I too assumed that Celestia and Luna were the only ones by virtue of their attachment to the sun and the moon, it seemed pretty obvious to me that alicorns were being portrayed as bearers of unique or especially powerful abilities when Cadence appeared. I don't think it's fair to say the writers can't add characters to the show just because they weren't part of Season 1, and Cadence is pretty critical to this episode even existing.
I'll give you that. But my final argument is there was no need to make her a pretty pink alicorn princess except to sell Princess Cadence toys. And of the marketing campaigns they've put in this show so far, this one is possibly the least subtle.
I will give you that, as with many aspects of the show, that was probably a guiding factor. I can think of 1,000 ways it could have gone worse, though. Namely, any episode that didn't have the antagonists we got in this finale.
Now that I could agree with. That, and I think we all know of the abomination that was newborn cuties. But moving on before someone kills someone else, Twilight meets all grown-up Princess Cadence and greets her in the cutest way possible.
And gets probably the coldest shoulder in response I've ever seen. Jeez, Cadence turned into a how to put it tacitly? A total and complete jerk?
A bitch, Thornquill. A cold, deceitful bitch. And as the episode progresses, we see more and more of this bitchiness. But only Twilight seems put off by it, while everyone else just puts it up to pre-wedding stress.
Indeed. Flouting the idea of Lesson 0 entirely, her friends brush off her concerns pretty casually. Ouch. Though I suppose there is some justification given how irate Twilight has been since the letter arrived.
Yeah, but come on, guys. At least try and listen to your friend. You know, the only one of you who actually knew Cadence. And when Twilight goes to peep on them while they're doing some private things in their room, she witnesses something very strange.
You mean something along the lines of demonic mind control magic?
Yeah, that's, exactly what I meant. So, evil, I guess? And when does she tell everyone this? The next day during the wedding rehearsal. Smart move, Twilight. Smart move.
That was about as badly handled as it could have been. I still cringe during this whole bit. But that's Twilight for you, getting flustered and trying to power her way through a problem rather than approach it cautiously.
Yep. But after everyone, including Celestia, ouch, scolds her, she realizes what she has done, and decides it's best to apologize to Cadence. And although what Twilight did was pretty thoughtless, Cadence decides to forget.
You will be.
What the fuck?!
Or Cadence could decide to banish her from sight with dark hellfire magic and leave the episode on a cliffhanger. You know, for kids!
What? What just happened? What did I just watch?
How the writers once again took a potentially weak and saccharine concept like a pony wedding and turned it into something epic.
That, and now I need to see the next part. So at the start of the next episode, we see Twilight stuck down in some crystal catacomb, with the face of Cadence tormenting her.
Well, this just gets creepier and creepier. As Twilight tries to fight back, she manages to destroy one of the crystal walls and reveals an actual Cadence hiding behind it, which she immediately attacks.
This is the point that if you look at it closely, this could have taken a very, very dark turn. A big theory that I've heard is that this was all part of fake Cadence's plan. She intended for Twilight to attack and even kill the actual Cadence. Okay, when did we take a turn down Grimdark Alley?
I'm not sure, but that's some seriously messed up malice on the part of fake Cadence.
We'll come back to this shortly, because at the moment the day is saved, for Cadence anyway, by cute greetings. And after what is possibly the most brilliant song the show has ever come up with, Cadence and Twilight escape the catacombs and try to stop the wedding.
Wow, her friends act downright ashamed to see her. That's still pretty brutal. Until the other Cadence walks in, at least. That finally seems to give Twilight some credibility. But everyone is still confused as to how there can be two Cadences.
So what does fake Cadence do now that her master plan is ruined? Reveal her true form, of course.
This is badass. In 30 seconds, we get a treasure trove of new lore and one of the coolest antagonists the show has ever had. Fillies and gentlecolts, a warm Canterlot welcome for Queen Chrysalis!
And thus began Thornquill's love for all things changeling. But I've gotta say, Queen Chrysalis is certainly a formidable opponent. And who faces off against her? Why, Princess Celestia herself. for the first time we see Celestia in battle. And wow. For the god of the sun, that's pretty pathetic.
Having fed off of so much of Shining's love, Chrysalis is now arguably the strongest living thing in the world.
So, what's the solution to this problem? Why, the elements of harmony, of course! So as the main six run out into the streets of Canterlot to retrieve the elements from another castle, I guess, we see Chrysalis' army smashing through Shining Armor's shield. And when they breach it, the war has begun.
This leads to a pretty dang awesome fight scene between the main six and the Changeling Swarm. This episode upped the ante all over the place, between how evil Chrysalis is portrayed and the bombastic battle that follows. And unicorns can officially be requisitioned as heavy weaponry. Huh.
Not to mention Pinky's party cannon and Fluttershy's weaponized adorableness. And through their strength, the main six defeat the Changeling Onslaught and make it to the room where the elements of harmony are kept, only to find an even bigger force waiting for them there. Wow. Of all the villains we've seen, Chrysalis is certainly the best tactician.
Agreed. Up to this point, we've only had Nightmare Moon trying to overpower everything, and Discord being his glorious villainous self. Chrysalis managed to turn everyone, even Celestia, against Twilight after successfully infiltrating the capital city. And back in the throne room, Celestia isn't looking too good. Jeez, more Darkfic material right there. But Cadence is confident Twilight will succeed. I mean, the episode is winding down, so it's really time for the Rainbow Deus Ex Machina, let's face it.
But no, Twilight fails. And so it's actually up to Cadence and Shining Armor to save the day this time. With the power of love, Cadence and Shining Armor Deus Ex blast Chrysalis and her army into the wild blue yonder.
And so, bridges are mended, the wedding is a success, and a heartwarming reception closes us out. Also, Luna, you made every brony scream with that troll line. Well done, oh Night Princess.
Headcanon time. She was off protecting her citizens from the changelings in the city during the invasion. Either that or picking up a pizza. Or, if you want to put a super dark twist on things, Luna was Chrysalis. But that's for you to decide.
This episode has to have inspired some of the highest number of fanfics among all the seasons. And small wonder, considering that it gave us so many new characters, villains, lore, and even a new civilization. And I, for one, rather hope that Chrysalis stays the wickedly demeaning villain she is, rather than being redeemed like Discord. So, Astro, with all of that to be gained from this episode, are you really still angry that they introduced a few things rather arbitrarily?
Overall, this really was a great episode, and is a fantastic example of what we love about the series. How it takes things that you'd think would be these sappy, girly storylines, and ends up giving us a military invasion. Does that mean I like this episode? Yes, very much. Does this mean I forgive a certain pretty pink princess for coming out of fucking thin air? No! I just can't do that. But that doesn't mean I hate Cadence now either, since over the past few seasons, she's gained some actual depth to her character and is no longer just the pretty pink princess. That, and we know a lot more now about Alicorn lore than we did when this episode aired. So overall, very good episode, even with its blatant plot holes caused by the marketing department. How would you rate this one, Quill?
I think that's an issue we will simply agree to disagree on. For me to knock the episode, I have to have a way that it could have been better. And although I agree that Shining, Cadence, and even the Changelings were introduced very quickly, I just don't see how it could have been better handled, considering the limitations of the show. It's possible that they could have been introduced somehow earlier in the season, but with 22-minute episodes, that's a tall order. And I'll take the epicness of this episode with a bit of hasty writing any day. It gets a 10 from me.
No surprise, coming from Chrysalis's biggest fan, I'd personally give this one a 9, because regardless of how much stuff came out of left field, when I saw Royal Wedding, I never imagined this. Also, this is why Shining Armor cries at weddings.
I wonder if it's because he's overly sentimental, or because how close he came to losing both his sister and his wife haunts him to this day. Sad fic fuel!
Oh, I was thinking it was because at his wedding, his fiancée was kidnapped and impersonated, he was brainwashed, and there was a military invasion of the capital city. But yours works too. I hope your wedding goes better than that.
It'll be okay. I invited the Changelings, so there's no need for infiltration. And I'm sure nothing will go wrong as a result.
And you don't have to pay for their food since they'll just leech off of your love. Nice plan. Well, I think that wraps up this episode. So until next time, alright, Quill, you ready to...
Astro? Astro? But... Changeling! Oh, sweet Luna's mane, I have so many questions! Now, is it true that you lot all...
What just happened?